I cannot believe I did that. An entire episode, and I forgot to hit record.
Yeah, that's all right. Like I say, we will do it again, and we'll knock it out.
This is going to come out very natural.
Yeah.
Very natural. It's going to seem like we've done this before and we know what we're doing. No, it's actually not. It's going to be exactly like all of the others, and it's going to be just as unorganized as it ever is.
Oh, yeah. I forget what I say from 1 minute to the next. Anyway, it's okay.
Me too. Probably one of the guys who is most famous right now for being a cigar smoker.
Get in the chopper!
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor himself.
Mm-hmm. You know, his cigars smelled a little bit different, but Bill Clinton.
You're right. He was a famous cigar person. I'm not sure he's famous for smoking a cigar. That Monica Lewinsky should come out with a line of cigars.
I'm telling you, that's a marketing thing that was just way missed.
A band with a little blue dress on it.
Right? All right.
Welcome to the Smokey Guys. I'm CR Parsons. I'm one of the Smokey Guys.
Hey, and this is Kevin Price. I'm one of the other Smokey Guys. There's probably a bunch of Smokey Guys. I don't know. Heck, I lose track.
Well, we are the two Smokey Guys on this channel.
We're the two that matter right now in this moment in time.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. If you just watch that intro, you know what happened, and so you know that. What in the heck was that? Was that the gym next door?
No, that sounded like somebody like hauling butt through the alley.
Oh my goodness!
Should I go out there and look?
No. I didn't hear metal on metal, so I don't think our cars are hit. Welcome to the Smokey Guys. As you can tell, we're recording this as it happens.
It's live.
Well, it's not.
It's live right now.
You're not watching it live. It's live as being recorded. What are you smoking?
This is a CAO.
Really?
You're surprised. Huh. I feel like I've been smoking this cigar for a long time now. No, it's a CAO. It's a wonderful cigar. It's their BX3. It is a Brazilian. It's got 3 different Brazilian leaves that make up the wrapper and the binder.
Is it the same Brazilian, the smaller?
No.
The green?
I take that back. I'm sure it does have. I think that one, if I'm not mistaken, has that. What's the name of that? Mata Fina. This one has the Mata Fina because it's the dark oily binder.
Yeah.
Or wrapper. Sorry, I'm really way off on this thing.
When in doubt with cigars, if you're not sure, always end the word with a or an O.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And then the Arapica. I'm going to just butcher the names on this stuff. But anyway, you basically have 3 Brazilian leaves, BX3. Okay. Brazilian times 3.
That makes sense.
It's a medium to full body cigar. It's a great cigar. I really like it. I like a lot of the stuff CAO does because they do those the Flathead series that are always really highly rated.
Dude, their Consiglieri, one of my favorite cigars. And again, with so many of their cigars, I initially thought that they were not a fake cigar, but a specialty cigar,
boutique-y kind of thing.
Something that they created just to sell to a particular audience.
Right.
Because like the Flathead series, I was like, okay, they're marketing to motorcycle guys. It's not going to be a great cigar. It's going to be a cigar marketed to motorcycle guys.
Yeah.
And then I tried one. And
it seemed like a niche thing.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Consiglieri. It was tied in with the Sopranos.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's going to be okay at best. And then I smoked it, and now I can't find it because they don't make it anymore. They've changed it and put a different name on it.
Yeah, and I always like those because they do a Colombia, they do a Brazil, Brasilia, they do Italia, they do the American with the barber pole thing.
You almost said Americana.
Yeah, I almost did. I was like, wait, that's a music type. Anyway. But no, this is a great cigar, and like I say, I'm well into it, and so it starts off kind of with some espresso type notes and chocolate. Definitely, like now I'm getting into more like the cinnamon and molasses flavors of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really good cigar. It's definitely one that pairs with a great bourbon or an aged rum.
Okay.
Like if you get a good Diplomatico or something like that, or
Nice.
Ranza Capa that's got some age to it.
Nice.
Man, yeah, it's a really, really good cigar. Highly
Very
recommend it. What about you?
I'm smoking a Mie Diaz. I had to look at the label to see what the brand name was because I just know it as the one with the giant M on it. That
Yes.
the band just has the giant M, and I've never actually known what the name brand of it was, who the manufacturer was, until I just looked at it before the podcast. They're great cigars. This one is a natural wrapper, or maybe it's definitely not a Connecticut, so it must be a natural. I don't know anything about the way it's built.
Yeah.
I can tell you that its flavor profile, at least what I've picked up so far, is mostly earthy, a little woody, some leathery notes, not a whole lot of overly sweetness, but it's definitely a mild, maybe mild medium,
Yeah.
but definitely on the milder side. I would say for me, this is a cigar with a cup of coffee kind of cigar.
Oh, very cool.
So an early in the day cigar.
And it's almost midnight. It's almost early in the day.
Almost early.
Close
in the
enough.
day. Oh.
Well, I mean, we can pawn this off and try to pretend like we don't know what we're going to talk about, but I think
we know what we're going to talk
we're
about.
going to talk about the history of cigars and their relationship to like popular culture,
Right.
Pop culture, and people that have smoked cigars and stuff like that.
Right, because we don't have a guest, we're going to do something a little bit informative. But we most of the time when we do the more informative stuff, we're very cigar heavy. We talk a lot about, types of cigars, shapes of cigars, how to cut a cigar, how all of the details, how to age a cigar, the meaty stuff that not just everybody can get into.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to dive that deep into cigars. So I thought this time maybe we'd talk a little bit about pop culture and the people who have made cigars famous or popular in more pop culture.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because it's like I say, growing up, I remember seeing figures like popular figures throughout history with a cigar in their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pictures of guys out there that had them, and I mean, one of the ones that sticks out to me was Mark Twain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Always remember seeing him most pictures with a cigar,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, growing up watching Tales of Huckleberry Finn and whatnot, and that was just always a big one to me. Was that guy? What about you?
Yeah, for me, Groucho Marx.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about synonymous with cigars. If you drew a picture of nothing but a pair of glasses with big eyebrows and a cigar, everybody's going to know that that's Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
Well, everybody over 40.
Yeah.
I don't know that 20 and 30 somethings know anything about Groucho Marx.
I say there may be a couple. I mean, we got a buddy that just turned 30, and I mean, I think Landry would probably know who Groucho Marx is.
Well, yeah, but Landry's an old soul in a new body.
Exactly.
There's no two ways about
Yeah,
that.
he's Harpo Marx who got a what?
Who found his voice.
Yeah.
Well, did you watch much Marx Brothers growing up?
I did. I stumbled, like say, across it on TV here and there where I could catch it and see it. We didn't have the ability to go out to a YouTube and dial up all the old episodes and all that. So it was like, if you could find a VHS tape that had it, you could go buy the collection or whatever. And we did that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Okay, a little bit of Tulsa history here. There used to be a pizza place in town called Crystal's Pizza.
Yep, we had one in Abilene, Texas as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were anywhere else.
Yes, they did.
Well, I just always thought it was funny because it was just down the street from Casa Bonita.
Yeah.
And so those two just were always almost synonymous. I used to think they were owned by the same people.
Right.
They may have been. I don't know.
They could have been.
But Crystals, for those of you who don't know, who didn't grow up in Tulsa or Abilene, I guess that's the only two places I know that they were, that was a pizza place that was almost like a Chuck E. Cheese. Had a big video game room, but one of the cooler things that they had there was they had a theater room. And this was way back in the day, long before people had theater rooms in their house.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the stadium-style seating with bar area in front of you so you could eat your pizza.
Yeah.
But they had movies playing or
Right.
stuff playing on a big screen with an actual projector. Which
You had like
was,
Tom and Jerry and all the old
old cartoons, Heckle and Jekyll, Spy versus Spy. But they also had the Three Stooges and the Marx Brothers.
Yep.
And, I mean, you talk about right down my alley.
Yeah.
I mean, slapstick comedy was hysterical
That
as
was,
far as I was concerned.
I was going to say, that was like, for the younger folks out here that maybe don't know, they were the Will Ferrell, Chris Farley's of their day. They were very slapsticky. I wouldn't say dumb humor, but
right.
It was probably for just the average person watching, they probably thought it was stupid. But it was actually very good humor. It was just
right. If you were watching it and you didn't know what was going on in the world or in culture or any of that, then you saw the slapstick and it was funny. I mean, you've got guys hitting each other and poking each other's eyes out and just being goofy, running around acting like idiots. But then if you knew the culture and knew what was going on in the world, you saw the deeper meaning behind all of their comedy. And it's funny how much social commentary was actually in there.
Yeah.
Duck Soup is one of my favorites from the Marx Brothers. And that was all about the fascist leaders and dictators and how the political world operates. But it was done with slapstick comedy throughout it.
Right.
And so it was just hysterical as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, I totally agree. That type of you don't get that nowadays as much, and it's everybody's too sensitive, and I don't want to get lost on that, but yeah.
Yeah, that among other things. Yeah, absolutely.
But we probably have to mention the most famous historical cigar smoker.
Yes, I think I'm thinking of the same person you're thinking of.
Well, I mean, he has a cigar named after him.
He has a cigar shape and size
named after him. Winston Churchill.
Absolutely. I don't think you get any more famous of a cigar smoker than Winston Churchill.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, he's got to be like on the Mount Rushmore of cigar smokers, probably number one.
I would agree wholeheartedly, because he was famous for not only for smoking cigars, but for smoking cigars all the time, no matter what was going on. I mean, he conducted World War II with a cigar in his mouth.
Right.
He famously was in war room meetings with cigar in his mouth. A buddy of ours got to see the table where they had their war room meetings over in Europe, and he said that it was so cool because there were some ridges in the table where Churchill would pound on the table when he was making a point, and you could see the ridges in the table from where he had pounded it so much. Yeah. And he also said there were burn marks around the edge of the table where he had set his cigar down.
Yeah, and I pound my fist on a table now, and I have to go seek help. I'm a rage monster.
To go to counseling.
Exactly. Well, of course, I'm not leading a war against anything. I'm usually just trying to make a point over something that I really don't care about. But
well, I think if I smoked as many cigars in a day as Churchill did, that I would have to go seek a divorce attorney.
But at the same time, I think that was probably what allowed him to stay focused. Because I know whenever I'm smoking a cigar, it helps my mental attitude to be very laser focused on whatever it is I'm dealing with at the time.
I agree.
And I think that's probably what aided him in getting it done. That and a whole bunch of champagne and scotch, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's another argument. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, because I know, like, when I'm driving, if I drive a lot of long distances. Yeah. Doing comedy and music, I'm on the road a lot. Yeah. A lot of windshield time. And if I light up a cigar or a pipe while I'm driving, it helps me stay focused on the driving. And I think it's because of the physical activity of doing something, along with the fact that you've got some tobacco or some nicotine in the tobacco that you're getting to give you that little lift.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the other thing about smoking in a car now. There's no ashtrays in cars anymore, so if you get on like Amazon, there's some really great cup size that fit in the cup holder that flip over. They'll actually hold your cigar. Just throwing that out there for people so they're not, ashing into a can or into a cup or something in their car.
I use a cup. I use
spend the $10.
I use whatever coffee cup I just finished. Now that's only in my car. If I smoked in my wife's car, she would shoot me.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah, I'm not allowed to smoke in any of my cars now, so it's it is what it is. At some point, I'm gonna buy like a Jeep, and I'm just gonna rhino line the inside. Is that still a thing, rhino line? I don't know.
It is. I don't know that it's called that anymore.
Spray bed liner the inside, the whole thing. Leave the top off all the time, and I'm just gonna smoke cigars as I drive down the road.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Just a dream I have at some point. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Oh, well, now I think about cigars as a time period thing. That time period is very specific. That's that World War II era time period for cigars. Yep. I know cigars were around before that because I know they were popular in the 20s.
Yep.
I know they were popular with a lot of people when the Great Depression hit.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because like Popeye, the character Wimpy.
Yep.
I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Yes.
He always had a cigar, which always threw me because I've always considered cigars kind of a rich people thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I'm not a rich person, and I smoke cigars
growing
all
up,
the time.
I agree. Growing up, it seemed like, I remember being a little kid, and when you saw a guy with a cigar, you automatically associated that with wealth. Mm-hmm. That it was a guy that was probably had some higher, standing in the community, or
right.
Of course, I always thought, you have to have a monocle, a top hat, and be the Monopoly man. But
the Monopoly man doesn't have a monocle.
He does not.
No, he does
really?
not.
Okay, well,
I don't know if that's a Mandella Effect for you, but
interesting.
But yeah, I learned that recently watching a video on Mandella Effect. That
Very cool.
The Monopoly guy never had a monocle.
Huh.
I always thought he did too. Apparently, just Mr. Peanut.
Okay, well then, hey, maybe Mr. Peanut smokes cigars too.
I don't know. He might.
I mean, a lot of these cigars have a nutty flavor.
They do. They do. That is true. That is true. But yeah, but what's funny is I can remember a time years ago when more people smoked cigars, and it wasn't always fat cats. It was your everyday guy. My granddad. I don't remember him smoking cigars. He chewed cigars.
Yeah.
Apparently his doctor told him at some point that he had to quit smoking cigars, so he just started chewing them.
Yeah.
But a bunch of guys he ran around with, a bunch of guys he golfed with, and other things, they all smoked cigars. But they were smoking much cheaper cigars, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Drugstore cigars.
Yep.
Like Havatampas and Dutch Masters and some of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
White Owl. I think White Owl's still around. I don't think either of the other two are.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't forayed into. I remember I used to work at convenience stores growing up, and I remember we used to sell the super cheap cigars.
Yeah.
And I was never even drawn to smoke any of those. It was just never a thing for me. So I guess I probably should have tried them at some point and given them a shot.
We're more premium cigar guys.
Mm-hmm.
And premium doesn't mean that they have to be expensive. It just means that they're a little better made, a little more quality tobacco, a little more care in the product.
Well, yeah, and I think that just evolves over time because I mean, cigars have been around. They've actually found traces of cigars back to, I say primitive times, but Native Americans rolled cigars and.
Careful how you say that. Producer Kevin isn't
here.
here.
Yeah, true. I say Native Americans like it was even prior. I mean, to America being a thing.
Yeah.
But in areas where tobacco was just a naturally occurring plant.
A weed, if you will.
Yeah, they would just not weed, but that's
a
whole different type of smoking.
That's a whole different cigar.
But yeah, the in the areas of like even here in the United States, you had the parts that are now North Carolina, South Carolina,
Virginia,
exactly. That was huge, just big, massive fields of tobacco, and so they would roll these rough-looking cigars back then,
right?
And that have now evolved into what we smoke today. thank goodness.
Right.
We're not still just kind of slapping them all together. But
although we have slapped together a cigar or two.
We have. Thanks to our good buddy Tomas over at Ultimo Cigars here in Tulsa. He's had us out to a couple of his events, and we've rolled cigars and have the first ones were pretty rough.
They were
didn't have a great draw. I mean, they were kind of rough. But I know going into our second phase of doing it, they came out much better, much more smokable, and
absolutely.
So
absolutely, yeah. The first ones, I will say, we've done a couple of these events, and there were probably 12 people or so there.
Yeah.
I think our cigars were still in the top 4 or 5 of the folks that were there rolling, even in our first class.
Yeah.
Because I know in our second event we did, one of the guys, holy mackerel. You talk about something that looked like it came straight off an animal.
Yeah, right out of the back end of an animal.
Yeah,
that was a pretty rough one.
Oh my goodness, that was real rough.
But it's funny because like as you roll them, even if you're not smoking a cigar as you do it, you notice that you're kind of getting the nicotine high through your fingertips.
You do get a little bit of that feeling,
and you kind of get that like say that little buzz.
Yeah.
As you're doing it, it's a neat thing to experience, and I highly recommend that to anybody out there.
You talk about giving you a great appreciation for the cigars you smoke. You learn an immense appreciation for the cigars you smoke trying to roll a cigar properly.
Speaking of appreciation, I tell you what I appreciate whenever I smoke a good cigar.
What's that?
Is a great drink to
go
with it. And tonight we have one of those here in front of us. It's Copper and Cask. It's a bourbon that a really good friend of ours, Nick Parsons, gave me for my birthday this year. And when I was researching the cigar that I'm smoking, it came up that it pairs really well with bourbon and aged rum. So I was like, we got to get something that's just primo tonight. It's 116 proof, so it's got a little power behind it.
Nice.
But I really enjoy it. I think it's got some great notes. And
what brand is it?
Like I say, it's Copper and Cask. It is. This is a barrel pick from B&B Liquor here in Tulsa.
Okay.
It's aged 6 years. It's actually distilled in Indiana, Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Okay.
But the cool thing is I don't have to like go out to their website to find the mash bill, which is something I like to do occasionally. Mm-hmm. Just to see, because I like high rye a lot. I like ryes. I like high rye bourbons. This one is not. This one's actually 60% corn.
Okay.
But it's got 36% rye, so you do get a lot of that spiciness. And
yeah. I definitely picked up on the corn when I first took a whiff of it, and a little bit of the spice note. Not too heavy, but a little bit, almost an allspice kind of thing.
Yep. But it's really actually pretty smooth for being as high proof as it is.
It definitely doesn't drink like 100 plus proof. It drinks really easy. Oh my goodness. Well,
yep.
let's move forward a little bit in our famous cigar smokers.
Okay.
We've talked history. We've talked way back history. Let's talk about people from now that are big cigar smokers. And I have to go with the first one. Probably one of the guys who is most famous right now for being a cigar smoker.
Get in the chopper.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor himself.
Mm-hmm. Which I know in a lot of his movies you see him chomping on a cigar, or you'll see most pictures taken of him. A lot of times he'll have a cigar in his hand or in his mouth. But I guess my understanding is he actually owns a cigar lounge in California, which is a place, I guess, it seems like an odd place where they have like no smoking everywhere.
Right.
They have a cigar lounge, but
I know cigar lounges exist out there because I've been to a couple. There's one just down the street from the Improv there in LA that I've smoked at, and then there is another one over in North Hollywood that I've smoked at, and both of those were really good. So there are decent cigar shops around California.
Very cool.
I remember him having one. I don't know if it still exists or not.
Yeah.
I assume it does.
Yeah.
You never know.
I always heard he had one. I thought that'd be kind of cool to go visit.
It would be.
But another guy that is more modern and famous, I guess you'd say, is former NFL quarterback Cam Newton.
Yes.
He actually has a cigar lounge in Atlanta.
And we have been told it is the best cigar lounge in the country.
I've heard that. Need some proof.
Well, we need to go and see for ourselves.
We should do some research.
Yes, we should do some research and see. But if you've been to Cam Newton's cigar lounge, let us know what you think. A buddy of mine, comedian buddy, Sean Jones, another big cigar smoker.
Yep.
He raves about Cam's place. Although I don't know that we would have the same experience at Cam's place that he does.
We don't have that VIP before our name,
Right. Yeah, he knows a lot of the NFL players, and he hangs out in the VIP room with the big guys.
Yeah, VIP for us means very impressionable person, I think.
Right. But yeah, I would love to go there and just see what it's like, because I've heard it's a great place.
Yeah, for sure. Not that I frequent Atlanta much, but I would go if somebody wants to invite. I mean,
absolutely.
We would definitely jump in a car and head that way.
But yeah, Arnold's a big cigar smoker. Stallone's a big cigar smoker.
Yeah, not to be confused with Stallone Cigars.
Right.
I made that mistake.
Who else? Gibson. Mel Gibson is a big cigar smoker. So apparently, if you are in the Expendables, you have to be a big cigar smoker.
For sure. Another popular guy, Jay-Z, and his wife Beyonce. They both smoke cigars. I've seen a lot of photos with them.
Yeah.
Man.
You mentioned Beyonce. When you think of famous cigar smokers, you always think of the guys.
Well, yeah.
But there are a bunch of famous female cigar smokers.
That's true. Raquel Welch.
I have seen pictures of her from way back with cigars.
Yeah, I was like say that was kind of the throwback, if you will.
Yeah. Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Yep.
She's a cigar smoker.
Demi Moore.
I think her dad was a cigar smoker. I think, what's his name? Richard. Yeah, I think he was a big cigar smoker. Who was the guy that was on Easy Rider?
I always thought that she was married to Richard. I didn't think that was her dad for some reason.
See, for some reason I thought it was her dad.
We'll have to get fact checked on that one.
I'm pretty sure he's way older than her.
I think she was married to him.
Oh, maybe so.
I don't know.
Let us know if you know. But who was that was in Easy Rider?
Dennis Hopper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, big cigar smoker. He was on the cover of Cigar Aficionado at least once that I know of, maybe more than once.
I'm sure. I was trying to think. I used to get that all the time, and haven't in a long time. And I know they've had tons of people on there. I'm trying to think. Whoopi Goldberg's probably been on there.
Yeah, she's a cigar smoker. Demi Moore.
Yep.
She's a big cigar smoker, or has been. I say they are big cigar smokers, like we know them personally, and we know that they still smoke cigars.
Right.
No, we just know their history.
We've seen pictures of them, or know that they have in the past.
Yes.
Madonna, I've seen a picture with her.
Yeah.
Shakira, Rihanna. And there's a whole host of female cigar smokers out there too, and that's been a cool thing is to watch it kind of. I mean, especially the lounges that we go to. We've watched it kind of shift from being an all-boys club to now it's such a great mix of people sitting around having great conversation. It doesn't matter sex, race, social standing, whatever.
Absolutely.
Everybody's just sitting around having a cigar and enjoying it. You're all there for the same reason.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things I love about a cigar.
Absolutely. There have been some controversial cigar smokers.
Ah, yes.
Most famously, Mr. Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
He was always talking about cigars. He talked incessantly about his microphone smelling like a cigar, and he always talked about it being a fine cigar. He had everything had to be fine and great and perfect and
Well, another one, his cigar smelled a little bit different, but Bill Clinton.
You're right. He was a famous cigar person. I'm not sure he's famous for smoking a cigar, but it has been a running joke amongst a bunch of cigar folks that I've talked to over the years that Monica Lewinsky should have come out with a line of cigars.
I'm telling you, it's a marketing thing that was just way missed.
A band with a little blue dress on it.
Right.
I mean, it would be perfect. It would be perfect. Now the question would be, what ring gauge?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are we talking a petite Corona, or are we talking...
Probably not a Lancero.
Do they have cigars that are curved? We just went down a weird rabbit hole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to throttle back on that one because I've got... yeah. Don't get me started.
But yeah, there have been a lot of famous people smoke cigars, and what I find interesting, you know, Arnold was famous for talking about how he liked to smoke a cigar to celebrate a big win.
Yes.
And I assume when he says that, he's talking about back in his pumping iron days,
yeah,
or bodybuilding days, when he was doing that kind of thing as a big win.
Or like whenever he defeated an alien, maybe something.
Or maybe just signed that contract for several $1 million.
Right. Yeah.
That would be a big win in my book.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I are everyday smokers.
Yep.
But I know a lot of people smoke cigars for special events.
Having babies, getting married, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Graduating college, winning a championship football game, stuff like that.
So since we smoke cigars so often, we don't particularly smoke a cigar for an event, but do you have special cigars that you keep aside for big events?
Yeah, so in one of my humidors, I have a special drawer that will get really rare, hard to find cigars will get placed in that drawer, and I will wait out a time whenever something really big happens, like we release an album or play a big show, something big happens for one of my kids, something like that. I'll get into that drawer, and it's always an event because it's so hard to get in there and pick one.
Right.
It's like, I'm not gonna do that one because I want to hang, whatever. I've got a bunch of Opus X's and stuff in there that I just really love, and I've got some 50-year drones and that I've been hanging on to, but yeah, those are always out for the reserved for special occasions, just like I have special whiskeys that I hold back for events and stuff.
Sure. So you have a kid that started high school this year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, I say that Oklahoma is kind of weird. So, at least where my kid goes in Jinx, they do middle school as 7th and 8th grade, and then the 9th grade is just a freshman academy. So it's not really high school.
Okay.
It's kind of its own thing.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so he went into 10th grade this year, and so yeah. I mean,
so have you got a cigar set aside for his graduation?
Yes. I don't know which one, but it'll be a great one.
Okay. Okay.
I say that because I've got It's probably going to be probably one of my older Opus is what I'll probably hold back for that one, and may even offer him if he's wanting to take a leap at that age, maybe offer him a cigar.
Okay.
See what he thinks.
Well, I remember when my oldest graduated from high school, he and his buddies came out to celebrate, and we had cigars, and I remember that his first cigar that I gave him was a Maker's Mark infused cigar.
Oh yeah.
Because I knew he was not a big cigar smoker, because I had never caught him with cigars growing up. I caught him with cigarettes a few times, but never a cigar. And so I knew that a regular cigar was not going to be his thing. And his friends, when I was talking to them about it, they were talking about things like the Tatianas and the flavored cigars.
Right.
And I'm like, no, we're gonna do a good cigar.
Yeah.
And so I remember what I gave him for his first smoke at his graduation smoke. I can't remember what I smoked that night, though, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Because I want to say it was Maximus. What is that? 3 Diamond, 4 Diamond? Who does the Maximus? It's one of the, something Diamond.
Diamond Crown?
Maybe Diamond Crown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it may have been a Maximus I smoked that night. Nothing too ridiculous, nothing too big set aside, but It was a good one. It was a good one. But those are great events to smoke for.
Oh, for sure. It's neat to watch. Like I say now, you watch these. I'm a big college football guy. You are too.
Yeah.
Watching, the national championship game the last few years, every time the team that wins it, they go to the locker room or out on the field even, and they've all got a cigar in their mouth. And
I love that has become a thing.
I know.
That has become a thing. I mean, of course, Michael Jordan, famous cigar smoker.
Big time. Yeah.
And he was known for throwing a cigar in his mouth to celebrate anything. Of course, he had a cigar in his mouth even when he wasn't celebrating.
He was smoking before games in his hotel room.
Yeah. So it wasn't weird to see him with a cigar, but it was a known thing that he did that. But it's cool to see that it has become socially acceptable, if you will, to smoke cigars and to use that as a celebration thing.
Yeah. And it is funny because like now, whenever we get invited to play a show somewhere, a lot of times one of the things we ask them up front is, are we allowed to smoke on stage?
Right.
And some venues are absolutely super cool with it, some are not. But the ones that are cool with it, it's funny because like when we get down to take a break, people will come up and start talking to us about cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And they're interested. They really want to learn about cigars and they want to know, well, I see you doing it. I've always wanted to try it or something like that.
Yeah.
And or what are you smoking? Because I smoke them too, and I want to know what you're smoking.
Yeah. Oh, another famous cigar smoker. I hate it when I go blank on a name. You guys know that I'm terrible with names. Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Ron White.
Ron White.
Yep.
Infamous.
Yep.
In fact, he is so famous for being a cigar smoker that he would play theaters where smoking was not allowed. And he had a guy that carried cash with him because they would say, well, I'm going to smoke on stage. And they'd go, no, you can't. And he goes, what's the penalty if I do? And they'd go, well, it's $1,000 fine or a $10,000 fine.
Yeah.
And he'd go,
fine,
pay
there you
it
go.
because I'm going to smoke on stage. I will tell you, I have gotten to smoke cigars a few times doing comedy. And it is a great thing. Because you talk about working well with your timing.
Yeah.
To be doing stand-up comedy and to hit a punchline, and while everybody's getting a good laugh, you get a good puff. And just the timing of that is just a beautiful thing.
Oh, for sure.
I love getting to perform with a cigar in my hand.
I was say, I imagine for comedy, I've never done comedy, but I can see where, in order to let that laugh kind of work its way through the crowd and absorb, you can reach down and kind of take a puff off of a cigar to let that have room to breathe, if you will.
Exactly. Well, in your world, music, you have a very famous cigar smoker, created his own line of cigars.
That's true.
Blackened.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Metallica himself.
James Hetfield. Yep. And that's another kind of cool thing is all these, Guy Fieri in the food world, culinary world, now with Espinosa,
knuckle sandwich,
has those knuckle sandwich cigars out, and then I like the bigger ring gauge. The initial ones, they were good cigars.
I'm with you.
Nothing wrong with them. I like the bigger ring gauge, and recently got to smoke one of the bigger ring gauge knuckle sandwiches, and I thought it hit all the marks, and it was a really good cigar.
Yeah.
But it is neat to see these, like I say, pop culture icons getting their own lines of cigars, and the blackened one, they brought that out to pair with the blackened whiskey.
Right.
That is another Metallica tied-in thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mention liking one size over another. I found that very recently. The H99, Drew Estates Liga.
Yes.
H99.
Yeah.
I had been smoking the little petite Coronas, and I really like those. They're really good. I smoked one of the bigger ones recently, and I didn't like the flavor as well.
Yeah.
There was something about it. The binder and filler were more prominent than the wrapper because of the size, and I just liked the smaller one better. It's interesting. That's one of the interesting things about cigars.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing. It's like, if you try a cigar and you don't maybe care for it, find another size in it. If you can find, and I am a big proponent of the Lancero. If
Yeah.
you can find a Lancero in one, try it, because I think you're gonna really find out that wrapper to binder to filler ratio gives you so much more flavor, because you're getting a lot more of that wrapper.
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine owns a cigar shop in Wichita, and she always said that she knew a real cigar smoker when they came in and went straight for the Lancero.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people seem to think you have to smoke a great big cigar. That's the manly thing.
It makes you look tough,
and,
man.
And if you're smoking a little Lancero that's skinny and long, you just
Virginia Slim of cigars.
Exactly. But she always said that, if you went for the Lancero, she knew you were smoking for the flavor.
Yeah.
Because that's what Lanceros give, is a lot of flavor from their wrapper.
For sure. And I for the longest, I stayed away from them because of the shape and size. Because I was like, no, I like big green gauge cigars. That's just what I want to smoke. And I stayed away from them. And then I think we went to an event. I think it was Drew Estate or one of those events. And they talked me into a Lancero. And
It was the one that starts with A. Not Aquafina.
Adventura?
Or Adino, Aduino, Adario.
Aladino.
Aladino.
Yes, that is, you're right. That is.
I told
it.
you I'm terrible
Yeah.
with names. Yeah, Aladino.
Yeah.
That's the one, because I remember that event, because I remember giving you a hard time about smoking your Virginia
And
Slim.
that thing was that's one that really opened my eyes to doing that. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that cigar.
Yeah, I have no problem with Lanceros. No problem at all. I'm looking at our notes to see what else we wanted to talk about.
Well, I think we've kind of.
Oh, what is it about cigars and bad guys in movies?
Man, I guess you're right.
It's almost as common as bad guys eating apples.
They're synonymous with.
There is something about bad guys smoking cigars. Of course, Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood famously smoked a cigar in all of his not Dirty Harry movies, his spaghetti westerns.
Yes.
But modern day, if you see somebody smoking a cigar in a movie, chances are they're the bad guy.
Right, and again, I think it goes back to that whole the impression, you're trying to give an impression that you're a tough guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing. People see you smoking a big cigar, they think, oh man, that guy's got to be tough, because, I mean, you see what the size of a cigarette is. It's not nearly as imposing as a big old 60 ring gauge cigar.
True. Well, speaking of tough guys, let's talk about probably a very famous group of people that smoke cigars, and that's the military guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What was it? Independence Day.
Yeah.
They famously tucked cigars into their uniforms.
Yep.
Because they were going to celebrate the end of that campaign with a cigar.
Yeah, I wonder if Will Smith's a big cigar guy, because I know he smoked one in the movie.
Yeah, he did.
So.
But I don't know if he is under normal circumstances.
I have no idea.
No idea. But I know a lot of military guys do. In fact, I want to mention a lot of places, a lot of cigar shops and other places, like around here, there's a coffee place called The Bunker.
Yeah.
They will accept cigar donations for the military, and they'll send them to military guys.
In care packages and stuff.
Exactly. And so that's always a good thing to do if you're at a cigar shop or something with veterans or something associated with the military. Check and see if they accept cigar donations and donate a cigar or two.
Definitely.
It's a little something for us, but it's a big thing for them.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, like you say, the tie-in to that, we've played a lot of stuff for the Marines, and every time we play those, a lot of cigar, we end up talking cigars with a lot of those guys.
The wedding we did for a Marine, everybody smoked cigars,
and we had
including the bridesmaids.
Yes, we even had a big table out there that had boxes of cigars on it, and we, as a band, donated a box of cigars to that.
Yep.
And it was cool to watch everybody, catching up and just, I guess the community of it. Everybody sitting around talking,
telling
stories and smoking
Yep.
cigars, and
Yep.
yeah, that's what I love about it.
Yep. a little, again, a tie-in, talking about military. You got to do something last week with a military-associated group.
Yes. So the Sons of the American Legion, Post 131 in Skiatook, Craig Coos, who owns a butcher shop up in Skiatook called Sausage Brothers.
Sausage Brothers.
Good buddy of ours.
Yes.
Reached out to me and said, hey, would you want to play music for a Veterans Day, well, not Veterans Day, but a day for veterans and the military families.
Gotcha.
Would you want to do music for an event and just entertain these guys and their families while they're hanging out? And so I, of course, agreed right away and didn't ask for a whole lot of details. Just tell me when to be there and we'll make it happen.
Right.
And got to the event, and man, they put on a show for these people. It was awesome. They had tons of free food. They had, tons of stuff for the kids to do. They had volleyball courts, and they had slip and slides, and they had a dunk tank. So I got to watch our buddy Chaz from Sausage Brothers get dunked.
Oh, nice, awesome. Nice.
And they set me up with a tent and let me play music for them, and that was a great few hours. I think it did as much for me, I think, as it did for them, because it was just cool to get it set. And again, in my breaks, I got to go visit with these people and talk to them. And I got to meet like the head of the Blue Star families here in Oklahoma. I got to meet the lady that runs that organization.
Yeah.
And again, it's we do these shows, and a lot of times it's just in and out. We play the music, and we don't get a chance to really visit. But I got to see what the impact of that was. Of getting to hang out with them. And
very cool. And wasn't that associated with the Gary Sinise Foundation?
That's what I was going to say. The cool thing was I found out later once I got there that Gary Sinise Foundation actually backed this thing and helped with all the donations and getting a bunch of prizes. They did raffle prize giveaways every 30 minutes.
Oh, very cool.
So tons of free stuff going to these families. And Gary didn't show up, but it was
not surprising. He can't be everywhere.
He can't be everywhere, but his foundation does a lot of really, really cool things for veterans and the military families and active military even around the country. And so big shout out to Gary and his foundation. Again, great people to work with.
Very cool.
Would look forward to helping them out any chance we get.
Very cool. Well, you're down toward the end of that cigar. How's it treating you?
Love it. It's a great cigar. Definitely a lot more of the molasses coming out of it now.
Oh yeah.
Getting down. Like I say, it's a dark, oily cigar.
Yeah.
And but it's a really enjoyable cigar, and it's going great with that bourbon.
That's awesome.
How about you?
This one has stayed very, very similar throughout. Not a whole lot of difference between the thirds. Like I said, it's a fairly mild cigar. It's what I would call a coffee cigar, first thing of the day kind of cigar. So it's been smooth, not a whole lot of flavor changes. Hadn't had any big changes at all, but a good solid smoke, especially for the price point. It's a mid-price cigar, $10-12.
Yeah, that's great. Anytime you can find something like that, I think that's about what this runs too. So around the $9-10 range.
Well, this one was gifted to me. I bought pizza this evening here, and somebody wanted some pizza, so they gifted me a cigar. And I've never turned down a gifted cigar.
Oh heck no! Bartering is the best way to best way to do this, and we do that a lot. That's what I love about cigar bars too. We lounges. We go into them and. Sometimes you walk out with a lot more cigars than you walked in with because it's like, oh, well, you got to try this. You need to try this one. This is a great cigar.
That does have it. It was funny. I may have told this story before on the podcast, but I was in Fort Worth with my cousin down at the stockyard trying to find cigars, and I could not find cigars anywhere in the stockyard area. I had been to several different shops and several different places, and every place was like, yeah, I think so-and-so sells them. Yeah. So I'd go to that place. And so finally we were just sitting outside a bar having a drink, and a guy walks by with a cigar in his hand. And I'm like, where did you get that? Did you get it here? And he's like, no, I brought this one with me. I'm like, oh, man. I said, I've been looking for cigars. I said, they said there's a place down here that has them. So I'm going to go check down here. And so I walk away going to look for cigars down there, and of course there weren't down there. But about the time I got down where they were supposed to be, I get a message from my cousin with a picture of a cigar sitting there. And apparently his wife had come up after I walked away, and he sent her back to the car where he had his little portable humidor and brought me a cigar. And my cousin was like, really? He just gave you a $10, $12, $15 cigar?
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, that's the cigar guy way. If you know somebody's actually a cigar person, you share cigars.
So when you're in Texas and you're walking around looking for, a cigar, you walk in and you say, hey, I'm looking for something to smoke. Did they just hand you a brisket? Just curious.
I do look like I would be looking for a brisket as much as I would be looking for a cigar.
You have a better chance of finding a brisket, apparently, than you would finding a cigar.
Much better chance of finding a good brisket.
I joke, but I know in Fort Worth there's a really good cigar lounge called Underground Cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I am passing through Fort Worth, I always make it a point to stop there because they have a good selection of cigars. It's just a really neat.
That's in that downtown area, isn't it?
It's actually south. It's
is it?
More industrial.
What is going on with my voice?
I don't know.
Whiskey.
Got a frog in your throat?
Something. Ooh.
So a more industrial area down south.
Yes. South of downtown. Still gonna be there for a minute.
Oh my goodness. Here, smoke it out.
Yeah.
That'll get it cleared up.
Yep.
That'll get it cleared up.
There we go. Back to my old self.
Well, while your voice is re-clearing, if you guys will, tell us what special events you like to smoke cigars for. We know not everybody is an everyday smoker. So what kind of special events do you like to smoke cigars for? Is it a wedding, an anniversary? Is there a particular cigar that you have bought for a special event? Let us know.
Definitely. And throw that in the comments section.
Absolutely.
Like, subscribe, hit the little bell so you'll get notified when we upload new episodes.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I haven't discussed this with you. We've started doing the Smokey Guys shorts where we just do quick cigar reviews. If you want to review a cigar, send us a video of it and let us know, and we may have you on as a guest Smokey Guy.
Yeah.
An honorary Smokey Guy.
Honorary Smokey Guy. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Even if you're a girl, you can be an honorary Smokey Gal.
Yeah.
The Smokey Gals.
Smoky Gals.
We'll have to have a separate group for that. Hey, where can they find you? What have you got going on?
Coming up September 22nd, I think I mentioned it earlier, we're doing the Hasty Bake whiskey release. I think I talked about it a little bit. If not, I'll give it a real quick brief overview. If you're in Tulsa or in the area or just coming to the area on September 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m., we are going to be over with Hasty Bake as they do their barrel pick of a Jack Daniel's single barrel bottle. So last time it sold out in 25 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, it was quick, but they're going to have a lot of free food, and it's just a cool event. And then after that's over at 7, we will roll the party over to Crop Happy's at 51st and Harvard, and we're going to have a little, let's say it's the after party. I'm going to be playing music. Nick Parsons from Hasty Bake's going to be playing music, and we're going to be hanging out.
And you can smoke cigars there.
You can smoke cigars in there. Yeah, it's great venue. They just renovated. They were closed for a few days last week to go in and revamp the bar and make it all nice and pretty for us. So we can come in there and smoke it up. And then on the 22nd, our band is going to be playing at the Blackbird on Pearl.
That's the 23rd.
23rd. I said 22nd, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm real good about that. All the days roll together. 22nd is Hasty Bake, and Crop Happy's 23rd is Blackbird on Pearl. I think that gets me through the whole month of September. Yeah. What about you?
Where can they find you online?
Oh, online. Yeah, just talk about that. All the social medias at KP Troubadour. If you want to just follow me personally. If you want to follow our band, it's at Kevin Price Band. If you would like to look at booking us for anything, booking at kevinpriceband.com, and you can get us to come out. We'll either hang out and smoke cigars with you. We can do song swaps while we smoke cigars. We can do all kinds of fun things. What about you?
Very cool. I am CR Parsons Comedy or CR Parsons Comedian on all the social medias. I've got this upcoming weekend, the 8th of September, I will be in Quincy, Illinois. There's a big bike rally. They're doing, it's a fundraiser for veterans. They're doing, instead of a poker run, they're doing a dice run. So they're having a dice game of some kind, doing a fundraiser for that. But I'm doing stand-up comedy at that. I'm headlining that show. Look online on Facebook, and there are all the details on there. Then also coming up, I've got the funniest person in Tulsa, the 17th or 18th of this month, here at the Looney Bin here in Tulsa. Again, all the information will be on my social media. You can reach out to me at booking@crparsons.com, or you can email the Smokey Guys at thesmokeyguys@gmail.com.
I think that about gets it.
I think it does. So, I think we covered everything we covered when we thought we were recording.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so.
Hopefully it's actually running this time.
I hope so, too. Since we don't have producer Kevin here, he's off in
Rome.
I think he's in Rome as of today.
Yes.
Yeah, he sent us a picture of the Colosseum from the rooftop where he was having breakfast and a cigar.
Yeah.
I was so jealous.
Yeah, very.
So jealous. He could have a cigar while he was having breakfast.
But yeah, no producer on this one, so...
So so there was a screw up initially, and it's probably somebody's fault. But until next time, until the next episode, you guys stay smoky.